Welcome back, Alpha Hunters. The markets are closed for this very short trading week. Well, it's going to be the week ending March 29th or the trading week that ends March 28th on the Thursday. So it doesn't matter. Q1 is done, it's in the books. So let's take a look at some things. But real quick, let's go over kind of how the weekly flow went. Nice little gap down there on Monday. Not too much kind of going on. A little bit of a rise there. Didn't even get back to even for the day from Friday's close. Kind of like a little double top rollover, but not really because Tuesday just kind of gapped up. Kind of a flat day for the most part. A little bit of a pull down here midday. And we had a pretty substantial rollover there in the last 40 minutes. And maybe some continuation is going to continue on Wednesday, but no, we had some continued selling on Wednesday. Just we gapped up so much it didn't even matter. So we did gap up, but we sold off. Kind of went sideways. So midpoint from between the days, we were actually down. It's just this huge sell off that we had to end the day on Tuesday. The huge sell off that we had to start the day on Wednesday. Yeah, just kind of a weird kind of combination there with that gap in between there. So, and then we didn't really do too much for the majority of the day on Wednesday. And then we had a very strong rally in the last 40 minutes there to end out the day on Wednesday. Thursday, pretty much a flat open, pretty much a flat day for most part. We get to the last, hour, 15 minutes. We saw a nice little bounce. You kind of thought maybe it was going to be a little bit like Thursday or Wednesday, apologies. Maybe we're gonna like just continue to climb, but then the last 30 minutes come in, and no, we reversed lower and came all the way back down. Basically, had a nice little doji on the day. Take a look at that a little bit later. So that was kind of the flows for the week. All right, take a look at sector performance for the week, and you see that there's two sectors really kind of lagged behind: XLK Tech, XLC Communications, lagging behind for the week. Other than that, looks like everything else did pretty good. Industrials, discretionary staples, healthcare, materials, financials doing pretty good. Energies, real estate, and utilities. And it was kind of interesting. Wednesday, Thursday, utilities were absolutely crushing on the market those days. So they were doing pretty good as the latter part of the week came in. And I don't know if that's a sign that people are getting protective as the market kind of continues to push a little bit higher here. It was just kind of interesting that utilities is coming to life here all of a sudden. We'll see if that winds up being a factor or being something here as we go into next week to start Q2. All right, take a look at the VIX. Well, yeah, just kind of a sideways week. Not really too much happened. Just kind of pulled back a little bit. Just kind of consolidating. Not really too much going on. VIX is a lower level. If it stays in this low level, the market should just continue to pump higher. So expect that. All right, take a look here at the DXY, the dollar index. And I see that we do have a little bit of trading already on April 1st, which is kind of weird. And anyways, we had a little bit of a pullback to kind of start this week, and we pushed higher. So we'll see what happens as we go into next week. But we got all the moving averages moving higher. A little bit of an upper wick there, kind of doji kind of candle coming in there on Thursday. We'll see if we reverse. But if we just kind of go sideways here, moving averages come up, pushes higher. DXY, dollar, could be going higher. Gold, man, gold is continuing to impress, and it dresses to impress almost every day. Not much else to say here. Any kind of dips, consolidation, pullbacks, you probably just gonna be looking to be bullish. So yeah, gold, GLD looking pretty good. 10-year yield. Well, so this is where I'm still more bullish on yields, and this is where I think we'll probably see some issues coming. The stock market will have issues if yields go higher. We might be in a consolidation, but I will completely admit that the combination of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and this Thursday candle does not look good. You kind of have a little morning star reversal action there between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then this upper wick retest. Yeah, that looks like Breakdown City maybe coming very soon. So it's either going to be that, or maybe we're just in a sideways consolidation. Maybe we're trying to base here, and then we'll push higher here over the next couple of weeks. We'll have to see. I mean, the market might not do much until maybe we get to the second week of April, because that's when we're going to get into earnings. So it's when we'll get the new unemployment data. So we might not see much movement on the market this next week. 10 to 2 inversion. Nice little pull down this week. Really, most of that was on Thursday. Not too much kind of going on there. 2-year yield actually did pretty well there on Thursday, especially compared to the longer term yields. So, yeah, and this could just be the basing area. We could have just had pull down, shoulder, neckline, head, a little bit below that shoulder. You know, neckline. Maybe we're gonna form a shoulder out here, and we'll continue up. I don't know. I mean, it might form out that way. We'll just have to wait and see. HYG. Well, after last week's nice little move higher, I mean, we didn't really show a sign of breaking down so much this week. Nice little retest as early part of the week as the moving averages are kind of coming up. So this looks pretty good. Like if we start to break out here on the HYG, I think you're going to be wanting to hop in pretty quick, as this has been a pretty long consolidation here. LQD, nice little upper wick coming in there on Thursday. Yeah, this is a tough one. I mean, it kind of seems like we're consolidating in here. Maybe we'll roll over. It's going to be an interesting one, to say the least, here coming forward. See just what happens. But, I mean, yeah, it's just, this one's tough. It's just tough right now. That's why it's like you just got to wait for a breakout or breakdown at this point in time on some of these bond yields. Taking a look at the TLT. Well, so far, the TLT did come in and interact with this downtrending line kind of right there on Thursday. Not completely interact, but kind of got close to it. So it'll be interesting to see just what yields do going forward and what the TLT winds up doing. Because we wind up rejecting off of this downtrending line. And yeah, we will definitely see yields pumping higher. And what will that mean for stock market? Well, I don't think the stock market has any kind of priced in metrics for yields going higher, especially if inflation's not going higher. So if that scenario does happen, I don't think the stock market's going to be too happy at all. All right, take a look at the RSP for the week. It's been on a hell of a run. Very nice move there on Wednesday. Nice little continuation there on Thursday. Just kind of very quickly continue that pullback to the beginning of the week. I mean, it looks pretty good, honestly. I got nothing. I mean, I would just say you're probably just going to continue to ride this as, I mean, you see the RSPs outperforming the Qs and the SPY on Thursday. So for now, you're probably just riding it. As far as the DIA had a nice little consolidation pullback on the moving averages. Kind of got to the high where it was last week, and that's kind of where it stopped. But it hasn't like fully broken down. If we break down here to start next week, could be a little bit of a double top here. But if we continue higher, I mean, yeah, we're just going to continue higher. The one thing I do like about this is we broke out last week higher. We pulled back almost right into the tops of where we had been for 2024. I mean, that is about where we pulled into. At least the bottom was this earlier this week. So I mean, you got to really like that look. Trying to trade that, so it looked pretty good. As far as the IWM is definitely trying to make its claw climb out of here. It's been tough to kind of get up through this zone. I think if you do get some quick pullbacks here early this next week, I think you're going to want to be bullish here on the IWM. I think this is going to be like a for real moment getting through here. I say that, and it's like, it comes out this next week and just absolutely get trashed. You still got to put in stop losses. This is the reason why I think this is going to be a for real, because it's actually held closes now, Wednesday and Thursday up above like these levels, right? I mean, it's had a very hard time doing that. We had some upper wicks back here in early March. Even this day back here on March 8th, where we gapped up, we traded higher, then we faded all the way back down, even continue on for several days. Yeah, I mean, even coming back towards the end of March, had a hard time holding up, and it just kind of pulled back last week and the early part of this week. So I think this is going to be a legit kind of move here. So if we do get a quick pullback there on Monday, Monday, Tuesday, I think you're going to want to be bullish here. All right, take a look at those cues, man. That uptrend is starting to flatten out, and that's that's a kind of the problem, right? I think tech is just has a lot of problems. You got a lot of regulators that have definitely come out here recently, really targeting big tech. In the U.S., EU, and the big tech is what leads the queues, and then that kind of is what leads the SPY too. So, uh, kind of, it's kind of a tough one, man. This is really tough because I don't know how much other big other stocks could really hold up the market if big tech is not holding it up and kind of leading it higher. So we'll have to see how that kind of plays out. I'm really kind of trying to think of new areas to kind of get into. I honestly, I think utility energies, not utilities, but utility energies like nuclear energies, that kind of stuff. I think that might be a really good play. But as for the Qs, it's I did move up the stop loss. We did that on the live stream on Thursday. It's right under this week's low. Mostly, it just it hasn't looked nearly as good as the other three that we already looked at. And speaking of, same thing on the SPY. I kind of moved up that stop loss to the lower ends of this week as well, this past week. So moved up those stop losses, and I think if you're going to try and play bearish, I'd want to see the Q, SPY, and RSP all being bearish together. That way, the entire market's kind of pulling back, correcting a little bit. But as for now, it's like all the other stocks are starting to play the bull game, and we'll see how long that can kind of continues. All right, so here's a quick look at really the 3-month or the quarterly chart for the S&P 500. This is looking at the ES futures. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good. The S&P 500 did about 10% there in Q1 of this year. That's a pretty good return for a quarter. So it's going to be really tough to say that we're going to keep going up at this pace throughout the year. I mean, that was after a pretty good run that we did have back in 2020 and 2021. And obviously, we all know about the pullback that we had in 22. And then we've just kind of been bullish ever since. So I'd imagine we probably slow down a little bit. I mean, it makes sense that we maybe pull back a little bit. Maybe that happens this quarter, Q2. I wouldn't really say I would jump on that immediately in Q2. I really wouldn't, unless the market probably gives you something very interesting looks. But maybe we see the market kind of continue to push up here over the next month or two, and maybe rolls over towards the end of Q2 as we go into Q3, kind of come back, get a nice little bounce, and then have a year-end rally going into Q4. Maybe that's how we look. I wouldn't expect like an immediate pullback because one, the daily picture looks pretty good, and kind of really like how these quarterly candles kind of ended. And here's take a look at the monthly as well. The monthly also looks pretty strong. So yeah, I mean, we might just kind of continue higher, hang out, and maybe roll over here towards what would that be, June, maybe go into July, August, and then maybe start to see the market bounce as we go into the latter part of the year. So Alpha Hunters, y'all have a great long weekend. I'm sure you already are, and I will talk to y'all next week in Q2. Alrighty, take care, Alpha Hunters.